So I had a question about sore loser and what to do if you've already built up the confidence of the child and tried to avoid the more competitive activities and found cooperative activities and tried to boost their self-esteem by recognizing them and really taking joy in their achievement. Well, yeah, there are many activities and situations that are inherently competitive. And there's also peers, siblings, classmates, kids in the neighborhood. So if a child still exhibits sore loser behavior, in other words, yelling, pouting, stomping, folding their arms and moving away and or maybe being a little bit mean. So your first job as a parent or the caregiver, you don't have to stifle that reaction. In fact, it's better not to stifle the expression of the frustration. Underneath is a sadness or it's a physiologic response and it's a wave. And if the child is able to express it without having the reaction of negativity from you, that helps because the wave will be ridden out. Now, I'm not even talking about the other kids and their reaction may be of fear or frustration, or they might act out and be very reactive to that child. I'm putting that aside for a moment. I'm looking at you as the caregiver, the adult, the person who's responsible. Is the first thing is let that ride out. Now, the next thing is if the child is continuing to be inappropriate and hurting other people or really making the situation worse or impeding the play, and you're responsible for the other kids as well. Your job is to assess whether that child is able to stay in the activity. Maybe they need to be redirected. Maybe you can simply ask them if they want to take a break, and you might have to guide them to take their break and move to a different situation where everybody isn't looking at them. But that decision point of how much to intervene versus letting the child be able to decide for themselves whether they're going to be able to continue it's just a universal parent dilemma of how much to intervene versus how much to naturalistically allow whatever's going to happen and the feedback from the environment. In other words, the other children are going to say they don't want to play or other things which will be able to teach the child inherently and give them a feedback loop. So that's specific to each situation. And I can't say whether you should be more interventionist versus letting things play out. But I do think that regulation is an issue. And so some kids can't remove themselves and don't know that they need to take a break, take a drink, orient themselves and look out the window or get a breath of fresh air or get something to drink or listen to some music, or just that little moment of re-regulation. That's often a parent's job to be able to assess, because the child can't, he's in the moment. And so even if he fusses and doesn't want to move away from the activity, your job may still be to say, hey, you need to move away and we're going to do this together, or you need to take a little break. But you're saying it without judgment. And that's a hard thing because we as caregivers, we're frustrated. And that makes sense. And I don't expect parents not to be frustrated and be sometimes show like, oh, and have that facial expression and say, here he goes again, he's ruining everything. But that cycle, just note that when that cycle begins, try to catch it and take that deep breath. Find out what your associations are with what you think, the negative things that are going to happen, because those really interfere with your ability to stay present and be able to decide about regulation and whether you need to help the child to move away. And that opens up a whole other parent piece about what we say to ourselves as parents.